Hope you viewed the previous video on alignment for spread. Now we're going to talk about trips. A couple of things stay the same, a couple of things change, and again, our goal is proper spacing. So not only do we need to spread the field properly, but we also need to have proper spacing from each other as teammates so that we can attack the defense from all the spots possible. So if you're looking at, again, middle of the field, perfect world, here's right trips into the trip side. Y, generally you're on the numbers, you probably need to widen out to at least outside the numbers. In fact, depending again on the play or the situation, you may be a little bit wider if you want to get all the way to, we talked about in the previous video splitting the difference between the numbers and the sideline. But again, align to best execute your responsibility. Start outside the numbers and go from there. If you need to widen, widen. Okay. Z, you're going to be in the neighborhood of inside the hash mark or on the inside of the hash. And then S should be splitting the difference between these two guys. So not too wide, not too tight. Split the difference. All right. Your alignment depth from the ball should not change. All right, you guys are both 2 yards off the line. You can motion from here and just come right off his back foot and be fine if you need to go to the other side. All right. We'll talk about motions later. To the back side, X, you're by yourself. Again, align I should say, to best execute your responsibility. So as a general rule, you're starting on the numbers. If I'm running some sort of backside route, or maybe the play is going away from me and I want to try to cut off the backside safety, maybe you want to cheat down a little bit. Maybe you want to get inside the number. So again, align to best execute responsibility, but as a general rule, on the numbers. Nothing changes if this flips to left trips. Nothing changes. Outside the numbers, inside the hash, split the difference on the numbers. All right. So let's go back to right and see what happens when the ball moves again. We talked about moving from hash back and forth and in between. So again, if the ball moves a little bit, you're going to move a little bit. If the ball moves a lot, you're probably going to want to move a lot. So let's say we're trips to the field. My recommendation again, you are going to be inside the numbers. S, you're probably going to be like right inside the hash mark, believe it or not, okay? And then Z, you want to, as far as spacing is concerned, you're going to have kind of the same basic rule as you would if you were to the boundary in spread, which would be find the guy who's outside of you and find your tackle and split the difference between those two people. So somewhere in that neighborhood, all right? And that's a good nice spacing of the field to the wide side here. On the back side, your rule again basically is find that comfort zone halfway between the numbers and the sideline and set yourself up there so that again you are wide enough to be able to maintain the integrity of the formation and the width here, but also you have enough space on the sideline, whereas if you were to run a go or some other type of outside route, you would be able to have enough space on the sideline without running out of bounds. All right. And as far as that goes in terms of trips, that's basically it. It's actually a little bit easier to understand trips than it is to understand spread. Oh no, I forgot. What if we trips to the boundary, which is rare but could happen? Okay, so well, actually here, before we do that, we'll slide this a little bit that way. All right, slide it this way. In football IQ, man, I talked about it before. Just seriously, think think a little bit. So we're not quite in the middle, but we're not quite to the hash. Okay, so let's say we're somewhere in no man's land, but definitely this is the wider side of the field. Okay, so some things can happen. Obviously, you're probably backside guy. You're probably going to be like outside the numbers there. To the trips side. Okay, use your imagination. You can probably definitely be outside the numbers to that point, maybe even a touch wider, I don't know. Again, remember the arm strength of the quarterback, if it's a pass play, has a lot to do with it. If it's a run play, you can pretty much be as wide as you want to, right? So then what do these other two guys do? Z, it's kind of on you to set yourself off the tackle. So right here is actually pretty good spacing because S appears to be about half the distance between the Y and the Z, and Z you're pretty well spaced from the tackle. So this is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of the goalpost down here. So again, use all the landmarks on the field, guys. Numbers, hash marks, goalposts. The middle of the goalpost would be right where the middle of the field is. Understand those landmarks and be able to use them. I mean, in a lot of ways, there is some geometry involved with this, and you know, I'm a math guy, so that kind of makes me excited to think about the geometry involved. But again, spacing and just using the grass on the field to your advantage. All right, so this is what it would look like if you were somewhat offset, not quite all the way on the hash. What if we go trips to the boundary? Let's stay in left trips for now. I know I'm going to have to move these guys down a little bit, otherwise they're not going to fit. Why would we go trips to the boundary? Well, for a variety of reasons. To see how defense reacts. What do they do to the single receiver side? Are we going to motion away and try to attack? So let's say we're trips to the boundary. This is where it gets a little bit cluttered. So, but just think about it. Let's start with the single guy. Single guy. First, what's the play? All right. Align to best execute your responsibility on any given play. So I'm going to say you're probably going to want to start somewhere in the neighborhood of inside the numbers. If we're going to motion a guy out here and throw you in under, well, then you probably want to cheat it in a little bit. All right. If you're running go switch, I think you're good from here because we'll talk about that. Your landmark is the hash. I think you're good there. All right. So as a general rule, probably inside the numbers. What are you guys going to do back here? It's kind of dependent upon two things. All right. Number one, the Y, you need to get as wide as possible while giving yourself space to the sideline. So rather than saying, okay, let's use that rule where we split the difference, you want to probably be just to the left, or I'm sorry, just to the outside of the middle between where the sideline and the numbers are, and then everybody else can kind of get set up accordingly. Z, you're probably going to be a little bit tighter to the formation, so it's kind of up to you to set yourself off the tackle. And then S, let's just split the difference. All right, the likelihood of us running something, a pass play to you guys, is probably not very high. But we still need to give the illusion that that might happen. I mean, depending on how they adjust or align, some people don't make a boundary adjustment, so we can trips to the sideline and throw an under here, or throw a book here. And so then all you would have to do again is to align to best execute whatever your responsibility is in that particular play. But as a general rule, we should be about the same distance from each other. If you look at it, it's really easy to see on the diagram. That distance there appears to be about the same distance between these two guys, which appears to be about the same distance between these two. Obviously on the field it's going to be a little different, but you get the idea. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, message me on Huddle, talk to me individually, but that's going to give you a good idea of what spacing should look like in trips.